Video game preservation. It's a topic that I found myself at the front line of over the past couple of years, talking about the PlayStation 3 C-bomb, the PS4, the PS5, Xbox DRM locking you out of digital and physical games as well, and the closure of digital storefronts. It seems like we are losing things like the 3DS, the Wii U, the inevitability of the PS3 store and Vita stores locking you out, or at least preventing you from adding additional funds. They're slowly shuttering those. Don't let them fool you. And what happens to our media in the future? How do we preserve these things in a legitimate way? You know, not necessarily pirate, nothing wrong with homebrew and backing up the things you own, but what is it that we can do as consumers to make sure the things that we bought remain ours? I'm seeing it happen with other forms of media right now. You might have heard about how Warner Brothers and Discovery, there was a big merger, and some of the content that was available digital on storefronts like Amazon are now being delisted, and customers who had actually paid money for some of those movies and television programs had all their rights revoked. And some of these television series are no longer available to watch in a legitimate form. The same could be said about video games. Stadia, Google's humongous push for cloud gaming, not having localized content on a platform, having to involve their servers in order to access and play the games. Now they're closing all those, and some of those games that were exclusive aren't currently on other platforms. We are getting less and less as time goes on. There's bigger pushes for digital-only consoles. The Series S, the PS5 digital, games that are not being printed on cartridges or discs, or only getting partial games, stubs if you will, on discs. And it seems like it's hopeless in a sense. Like, this is the way the world's going. And you'll hear that from defeatists or people that are just pessimistic, black-pilled if you will, about the future of games. And the past couple of years have meant the most to me, because I know that's just not a fact. We can preserve our games. We can raise our voices and let people know up in the top chains that are sometimes out of touch with the people down below, our Don Matrix of the world, who want to push forward the DRM and the digital-only ecosystem. If we didn't say something, if we didn't vote with our wallets and buy physical media, then we would have lost some of this content. We would have entered a future where the C-bomb exploded and all of a sudden we had these paperweights of consoles. I know it's hard for some people to conceptualize what that really means until it happens to them. One thing I've tried to push throughout this whole campaign: try it for yourself. If you are skeptical of any of these experiments that the community is running on the C-bomb or digital DRM, try them out for yourself. I think it always matters more when it happens to you, unfortunately. I've seen a lot of channels that rush out there to celebrate whenever, a big company's done good. And I do want to give props to Microsoft and Sony for listening to us, but we're only thanking them because they deliberately put in this DRM and they were hoping no one would notice. That's the truth about it. So when we thank them, we should also be keeping them on notice and letting them know that, hey, we're not going to sit here and let our content be taken away from us. I think it's important as a community to not let up on these things. I know we exist in a 24-hour news cycle where these stories crop up. Everyone forgets about them until the next one that happens, like 6 months down the road, 7 months down the road. But there are things that are just unresolved. The PlayStation 3 still has a C-bomb. The Series S, the Series X still has to connect online at least one time to activate that system. There are no offline accounts, and we don't even know the extent of how digital games work on the Series S or X. Like, do they have to check in again somewhere down the road to be reissued another certificate or license to be able to play those games? Like, maybe it's good for only 90 days. We haven't really tested that extent of digital games. We are moving towards the inevitability of having a more presence from digital and cloud gaming in the gaming sphere. Like the brick and mortar retail stores are going out the door. So if we're going to exist with that, and we have to go through these cottage industries to get physical media, we need the guarantee that A, we own the product, B, we're able to do what we want with it, buy, sell, trade, whatever, and C, play the freaking game from here into the future. If it wasn't for piracy and homebrew and emulation, some of these games would have been gone forever. Like, just nobody would have any access, because video games exist in a kind of its own unique ecosystem, separate from other forms of entertainment. You know, books get reprinted, movies get repressed all the time, even stuff from like the 1930s and beyond gets new editions, anniversary editions, but video games, few and far between, get HD treatments or re-releases or ports to more recent consoles. And many of you will sit there and say, well, the solution here is emulation, is piracy, whatever. That's fine, and it may come, but it's not here yet. So we got to do what we can to make sure our future isn't so bleak. Anyway, that was just a random thought I had. I just want to say thanks so much to everyone for supporting the channel and sharing out these videos and making all the noise that you did, because we accomplished some stuff. And I think we've got a little bit to go, but chances are we're going to make it together. I've been Hikiko. See ya.